Hey, everybody, Wendy Sellers here, the HR lady. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am interviewing somebody who is just amazing and experienced that who has visited more than 100 countries and works all over the world. So I bow down to you, John. Welcome to the show, John Rubino, president of Rubino Consulting Services. How you doing, John?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, HR lady. Always a pleasure to be speaking with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I am just like floored by your experience all over the world. And dude, 100 countries. That's a lot. You must be tired.
Oh, I get exhausted just thinking about it, Wendy. It's amazing. Now, of course, this is over a 30-year period, but it's still a lot of countries.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. I understand that you're also a faculty member and you develop seminars again for World at Work and the American Management Association, but all over the place. You're an author as well, right?
Sure, I've written two books. One is on developing base pay programs, and the other is how to effectively communicate your compensation and human resources strategies to your employees.
I love it. Love it. So there's there's a lot going on in the United States in 2025. So I want to focus specifically on compensation since you're an expert at that. What are your thoughts and suggestions for our listeners regarding the possible changes with how we tax tipped workers?
Yeah, that is a controversial topic. And while it may sound very attractive on its face, there are some underlying issues that need to be analyzed. Now, this will benefit those servers who work in high-end establishments a lot more, high-end hotels, premier restaurants. Because if you think about it, a 20% tip on a $300 tab is a lot more beneficial than 20% on a tab of $9.99. And that is one of the main issues. A lot of the servers in the United States are at the lower income level, and many of them don't even reach the threshold of paying income taxes anyway. So it kind of all comes out in the wash. But again, those high-end servers may see that benefit. The other issue is if these tips are not taxed, are they going to be included in Social Security and Medicare benefits going forward for their retirement? Now, that has not been resolved yet. I know that isn't currently in discussion in our government. So these are the main issues that really need to be considered. Again, on its face, it sounds great, but it really depends on the income level of the server.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. So there has been just so much going on in 2025 already that is not my specialty. So I haven't focused on that. Is this like a law right now about not taxing tip workers, or is it a suggestion? What's going on?
No, it was really started as a suggestion from President Trump. And again, I know it's being considered and talked about, but currently there are no bills that are on the plate right now. It is not formalized in any way, just an idea and a suggestion. Now, will it have legs going forward? Who knows? We're just going to have to wait and see.
Okay, thank you so much for clarifying that. I will make sure when my clients ask me that, I will say, you need to talk to John, but let's go stalk him on LinkedIn. For any size business, but especially for smaller businesses that the mom and pop shops that are wearing all these hats, because they don't even have finance, never mind accounting or payroll or HR. Let's talk about compensation strategies. What have you seen work well in small businesses regarding compensation strategies? And give me some unique ideas too for our listeners who are saying, I need to continue motivating my employees and I don't know what else to do.
Sure. You have to start with the foundational stuff in compensation, and that is base salary. All good compensation HR people make sure that their base salaries are competitive to the market rate. So the first step is to establish, and I don't care the size of the organization, this is applicable to everyone. You have to establish a pay policy for your company as far as base pay is concerned. The majority of companies around the world establish the median pay of the market as their pay policy. Some have the average of the market. And of course, there's always premium payers that pay, let's say, at the 75th percentile. Where whatever it is, and of course, this is a strategic decision, so executives have to be involved with that. Based on who we are as a company, based on our competitive market, what's going to be our pay policy? Once the pay policy is decided, then of course you have to do your due diligence and market survey analysis to make sure that in aggregate, your employees' pay are related and aligned to, let's say, the median of the market. The base pay, again, is the foundation, but that's not all we have in compensation. To truly motivate your employees, I always recommend a functional variable compensation program where we reward our employees in lump sum as opposed to rolling their increases into their base salary. It's much more motivational to get a lump sum check at the end of the year of, let's say, $2,000 if you meet your metrics, as opposed to getting a 3% increase in your base pay that is spread out over 26 pay periods, and of course, taxes are taken out. Employees don't even see that money. These so-called merit increase based salary programs are, in fact, demotivational in my experience. I am on a worldwide crusade to abolish these merit increase based salary programs. And if any of you out there, any of your listeners are using the words pay for performance, and all they have are merit increase base salaries, I say stop it. You are violating your credibility within your organization and to your employees. They are not pay for performance at all. They are cost containment vehicles. Now, getting back to our conversation of finance people love these merit increase based salaries because they contain the huge salary expenses that companies have. And of course, salaries must be contained to some manner. But from an HR perspective, our objective is to motivate our employees. There we have to think about the additional alternative reward strategy of variable compensation. And there's a lot of material out there. There's a lot of seminars. Many of them I teach, many of the articles I write on how to structure a good variable compensation approach. Added to this is the other elements in our total reward strategy. We call them the soft stuff, such as the culture and environment that the organization works in, the types of jobs our employees have. Can we enrich those jobs to encourage job ownership of the employee so they don't view themselves as simply a cog in the wheel of the organization, but they have job responsibilities that can actually contribute to the success of the company? And of course, we can add other elements like training and development opportunities that are offered. And again, this is applicable regardless of the size of the organization. Bottom line, we have to look at our total reward strategy, which includes the hard stuff like compensation and benefits, as well as the soft stuff. And again, another element of soft stuff would be balancing work and life opportunities. A lot of these programs do not have to be expensive, but employees appreciate that the companies are reaching out to them and recognizing that they're just not worker bees. They are actual human beings that have personal needs and professional needs. And the more organizations are equipped to satisfy the holistic nature of their employees, the more motivated and the more they bond with their employees. So an employee, if they get an offer of, let's say, a 15% increase in base pay from another organization, they may think 5 times before they leave because they're working for you, not just for the money. They're working for you for the environment that you create for them.
I love it. I love it. I'm over here nodding my head and, fist pumping in the air because I'm like, yes, yes, go, John. I took some notes, what you're saying basically, and I 1000% agree with you, is pay for performance does not equal a merit increase because a merit increase is really a cost control practice and it is not at all motivating for the employee, right? And
Absolutely.
so I love the fact that you use the magical M word, metrics, 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 folks. It's part of the SMART model, SMART. M is metrics. Use metrics and bonuses, for example, or some other type of reward as part of your total reward strategy. As John said, total rewards includes both hard costs, money, and soft costs, such as time off or, a flexible work schedule. I love this, John. Thank you so much for confirming that I am not crazy. I'm a little crazy. You got to be crazy to be in HR, especially these days. And you got to be crazy to be in HR and say, yes, I want to continue fixing things.
Oh, absolutely. And as always, and you know this, Wendy, these are easy words to say. The devil is in the detail, but it's worth the effort. And again, there's a lot of educational opportunities out there for our HR professionals to gain that specific knowledge on how to design base pay programs, how to design variable compensation plans. This is what we're all about. And I'm sure you would agree, increasing your body of knowledge so you become valuable to the organization. Whether the executives buy into all of your ideas or not, you're doing your job as an HR professional when you present these ideas, when you have discussions. And I'm sure you would agree, all it takes is one key executive that says to you, Wendy, very interesting. Tell me more. Now the door is open. And then you use your expertise to design these programs and sell them to your leadership.
Right, right. And don't do it alone, folks. Get experts like John involved so that, you can say to the executives, it has worked in other companies. Here are the examples. Turnover has reduced because of this. We were able to attract more people because of our total reward strategy that we have changed. And guess what? In the end, even though you think based on accounting finance reports that we're spending more money, it turns out we're saving money because we don't have our knowledge walking out the door. And let's face it, today, recruiting is so expensive and so time consuming.
Absolutely. And you made a great point about knowing your metrics. That is key. There's many seminars out there of quantitative techniques for the compensation professional. And again, getting back to finance, the reason why finance is so valuable is they know their numbers. Numbers are the language of business. This is what catches the ear of the executive. So the HR professional has to have a quantitative orientation as well as a qualitative orientation. And that quantitative orientation is key. So we need to prove numbers-wise that our programs are going to be beneficial either in the short term or in the long term. That's what we have to sell to our executives.
So switching gears a little bit here, many businesses operate without a dedicated HR department. I mean, that's what I do as the HR lady. My clients are small businesses. They may not have HR or somebody's wearing the HR hat amongst many, many other hats. But so that makes financial sense. But in small companies, when these leaders often wear the multiple hats, including HR, what are the potential pitfalls of that?
Yeah,
So
great
many.
question. Like you, I have very large clients. I have global clients. I have national clients in various countries around the world. I also have mid-size and entrepreneurial organizations. Whereas you say they don't have the financial resources or choose not to have a dedicated HR department. And like you, Wendy, I serve that function for my entrepreneurial clients. The bottom line of all of this, someone in the organization has to be an advocate for the employees. Now, of course, having a dedicated HR department, the role of the HR is to walk that fine line between meeting the needs of the organization and meeting the needs of the employees. And if you think about it, that is a unique function. No other
Mhm.
faction of companies serve the people in a transparent and all-encompassing way as the human resources professional. And of course, there's no time better than now to be in the HR function. So whether there is an outside entity like a consultant or whether there's dedicated HR people, someone has to be that advocate for the needs and the motivation of our employees. Now, having the dedicated HR, of course, they're captive employees, so the needs are met more immediately, hopefully, if the HR person do their due diligence and they're doing their job well. Having an executive serve that function, I have found, really doesn't work as effectively.
Yeah.
And dare I say, I know I'm going to get pushback from this, but having the financial people serve as the HR people, I have found does not work at all. Finance people have their own agenda and they have their own job requirements. So their focus is typically on the bottom line and on the organization solely. So once again, we need that advocate for the employees, whether it's internal or whether it's external.
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up because it drives me bonkers when, first of all, an accounting or a finance person is handling HR. I also firmly believe and always have, I've been doing this for almost 30 years, that payroll should not be done by HR. Payroll should be done by somebody who knows numbers. And then numbers people should not be handling employee relations. Of course, you're going to handle employee relations of your own people that report to you in the accounting or finance department. And accounting, payroll, and HR have to work together, but it's a risk because if HR is hiring the person or inputting their new hire payroll or their bonus and also processing the payroll, there's a fine line of ethics that you're crossing. What are your thoughts there?
Well, yeah, I absolutely agree. The agenda, the focus, the job objectives of finance people are very different from the established human resources professional. I always say to be a successful HR person, you have to be an excellent psychologist and detective. Psychologist from the point of view, of course, we have to know human motivational theory. A detective, we're always mining data. Now, this is not to say that HR people are just twisting in the wind and they're just la-di-da and they're only concerned with the soft stuff, and of course, that is not effective. HR people have to be well-rounded business professionals. They have to know the bottom line implications of all of the programs that they design. But once again, the HR focus primarily is serving the needs of the workforce, making sure they're motivated, making sure the jobs are designed efficiently and productively, and looking at the long-term welfare of the employee, while also considering the bottom line of the organization. Finance people are doing, as you say, payroll, transactional stuff, but their sole concern is the bottom line of the organization. The most effective companies that I work with around the world have fully functioning finance, of course, as well as fully functioning human resources professionals.
Yeah, I agree as well. So thank you for confirming that. And for the folks that are listening that are wearing both hats, hey, feel free to share this information in this podcast with the higher ups in your company so you can start saying, you know, we do need to have a separation of duties here, even if that means getting an external payroll or HR consultant involved. Hey, John, how can our listeners reach out to you?
Oh, very easily. I am a big fan of LinkedIn. That's how I keep in touch with all of my good people all around the world. I'm very easy to find. Just type in Rubino Consulting Services and I will pop right up. Just as an aside, about 5 years ago, I got an email from LinkedIn. It said, "Congratulations, you are in the top 5% of the most profiles viewed globally." Now, I was waiting for my cash award, but that never came. But that's just based on the nature that I do. So, Rubino Consulting Services on LinkedIn. If you want to send me an email, Rubino Consulting at AOL.com. Yes, I'm the last person that's using AOL, but I'm married to it. So please feel free to contact me if you have any other questions or need any other help. And of course, Wendy, the HR lady, is a valuable resource in the human resources field.
Thanks so much. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll make sure that I will put John's information in the podcast notes. Take care, everybody, and stay safe.
Thank you.